Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Well, we spoke about life insurance. Now let's talk about health insurance. This is a topic that, of course, all of us have been looking at with very sharpened focus in the last 1 year, given the fact that we've just, we've just started to emerge from one of the worst health crises that at least our generation, in fact, even the generation before that, has seen. But we'll be delving a little more into the entire general insurance spectrum. Let me welcome now on the show Vivek Chutervedi, the CMO of Digit Insurance. Vivek, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I will be covering more about health insurance, COVID covers, etc. But before we do that, as we approach the monsoon season, in fact, let me scratch that. We are very much in the monsoon season. It brings along with it, a very peculiar set of problems that we see only in these span of 3 months, right? From diseases to damage, to some of our properties and assets. Now, we have something called as vector insurance. Many may not even have heard of this. So why don't you start out by introducing this concept to us? What does it cover? What exactly is vector insurance, Vivek?
Thanks, Mubina. There are common vector-borne diseases, and everybody has heard those names, like dengue, malaria, Kala Azar, which is black fever, chikungunya, Zika virus. So all these comes under vector-borne diseases, and vector insurance is very similar to a comprehensive health insurance. It's just that it covers only when somebody is diagnosed with these illnesses and there is a hospitalization involved.
All right. So basically, firstly, only if you are, getting those specific diseases, if you contract any of those specific diseases, and furthermore, you are hospitalized, only in those cases does a vector insurance, get activated of sorts, and you can go to your insurance company and make a claim. Vivek, I understand there's also now a standardized version of this insurance policy. We've been seeing standardized versions of, life, health, even, personal accidents. And now I understand for vector as well, it's called Mashak Rashak. So if you could tell us about the key features of that, how does it differ from, a more commonly found version of the vector insurance policy?
Sure. So fun fact. So Mashak is mosquito. And the fun part is that what the regulator allows that if an insurer wants to translate it into Gujarati or any other language, that is allowed. Basically, Mashak Rashak is a standard vector-borne disease which regulator has introduced in the month of April. It's a benefit-based product. So most of the if you see this product versus some of the products which are available in the market, some of them are reimbursement products, some of them are benefit product. A benefit product is that if the trigger happens, in this scenario, the trigger for Mashak is somebody is diagnosed with one of the viruses, a virus illness, and the person spends at least 3 days, which is 72 hours in a hospital. Then the policy is triggered. And in that scenario, whatever sum insured the person has taken, that amount is paid by the insurer. So that this policy comes from a sum insured of 10,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees. And the policy also covers in case if there is a diagnosis, then 2% of the sum insured it covers, which is required for lab tests and other things. Some of the products which are available in the market are also reimbursement-based products. A reimbursement product is where whatever is the actual expenses in the hospitalization, those are covered. And some of these vary in terms of when the policy will kickstart. Some policies will kickstart once the hospitalization is more than 24 hours. In case of the standardized product, it starts when the hospitalization is for at least 3 days.
So why, Vivek, would I bother taking a vector insurance? I mean, who is it suitable for? Because especially, if I look at salaried individuals, most of them have group cover under, their employers. Their employers usually provide them with Mediclaim. In that case, do I still need to take out a vector insurance? Who is it suitable for?
I will digress a bit. I was also hearing what Parag was saying. And life insurance, term insurance is absolutely critical. It's like in health insurance also, if you have a health insurance policy which has enough sum insured, which is basically say 15 lakhs or 20 lakh rupees sum insured, then actually you don't need any other policy. What happens is that in India, most of the people have a policy which covers up to 5 lakhs. So they have a sum insured of 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs. That is the most common sum insured bought by most of the Indians. In that scenario, if a viral illness happens, which we are seeing in case of current COVID situation also, where if one person gets that illness, sometimes the sum insured may not be sufficient. However, in that scenario, the best option is to either increase the sum insured of your existing policy. Second best option is to go for a super top-up plan. Now, the other thing which you talked about, the corporates, now most of the corporate team members have a group corporate policy from the organization. Now, in that scenario also, instead of going for a illness-specific product, whether it is a vector-borne product, whether it is a critical illness product, or whether it is a, say, a COVID product, better option is to take a super top-up plan. One can always, there are companies, Digit including, which give an option that when the person moves out of the organization or somebody starts their own startup, when the corporate cover is not there, the super top-up can be converted into a normal comprehensive plan. So that is a far better option versus going for a illness-specific insurance. Primary reason being there are 100 things that can happen in our body. Today it is like COVID is still going on. There is vector-borne illness. Most of the hospitalization in young people actually happens due to accidents. So to cover all the scenarios, going for a comprehensive health insurance is a far better option. If somebody has a corporate insurance, going for a super top-up plan is the option.
I'm going to ask you a similar question that I asked Parag, and that is sum assured. Now, if Parag put it in a relatively, simple way that, you consider your expenses and then you just put another zero to it, so at least your family is sorted for that period, considering inflation and everything. How do you decide on health? Because, we don't know what sort of unfortunate disease we may be inflicted with tomorrow. We don't know the cost as well associated with that. So how do you decide on sum assured in health insurance, be it vector, be it, my Mediclaim that I buy? This is going to be a tricky one.
So the way we see it, or at least I see it, insurance is to be taken for instances which may bankrupt a family. So what Parag said that for a life insurance, go for say 10 times of your CTC, or in case if you are in a younger age bracket, go for a 15 times of your CTC. Another way of calculating that is that we know how many dependents we have, spouse we have, and we have the expenses, and we know how the education cost is. That way can be calculated. In case of health, the rarest 1% of the cases, which includes either a cancer or somebody requires ICU for say 25-30 days, those are the cases where people will end up spending roughly around 20 lakhs to 30 lakhs. And that sum insured typically in India currently covers most of the scenarios, like 99.99% of the scenarios. Now, how to predict for the future also, because once you take a sum insured of say 20 lakhs, how to go around increasing that sum insured. So there are multiple things which are there in the product. One is no claim bonus. So if somebody is not making a claim, and if somebody has taken a policy which has a very good no claim bonus, the sum insured can become double in 2 years. So in 2 years, if somebody does not make a claim, the sum insured is 40 lakhs, which is sufficient for most of the cases right now that will happen in India. Now, what happens in 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line? Because medical inflation is quite high right now. Now, in that scenario, like in case of Digit, we had introduced something called an inflation protection option, where a person can opt for an increase in sum insured every year. So somebody has taken, say, a 15 lakh policy, and somebody can opt for a 50,000 rupees or a 1 lakh rupees increase in sum insured every year, so that after 10 years also the sum insured is relevant. and it covers most of the situation that can happen. But currently, if you see the kind of 1% of the cases, because most of the claims that happen in health insurances are roughly around 1 lakh, 1,50,000 rupees. In certain COVID cases, we are seeing the claim size is quite high. However, the role of health insurance or life insurance is to protect yourself so that the family will not have a financial burden or the family will not be bankrupted. For that scenario, in current scenario, 50 lakh, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs is a good safe sum insured.
Okay. All right. So that's largely, and especially when you have a family, you must consider something perhaps on the upper side. Let's talk now about, making claims, because, at the end of the day, you do buy a health insurance policy so that tomorrow, in a bad scenario where you are hospitalized or a loved one is hospitalized, you can, go to your insurance company and say, hey, help me pay for the expenses that I have had to incur due to the hospitalization. And we have seen many of those cases right now, right, Parag? So how would you recommend, if you could share some tips and advice on how individuals should approach, what are the steps they should take on the event of hospitalization of the insured to make sure that, the claims are approved by the insurance company quicker?
Sure. So, Mubina, one thing is if it is a planned procedure, or if the person knows that he, if there is like a time of 4 days, 5 days, it's good to inform the insurance company in advance. There are processes like in our scenario also, where if we get to know that somebody is going for a planned procedure in X hospital, we coordinate with the hospital and ensure that everything is in place. All the approvals are taken and everything happens. So that is for most of the planned procedures. Telling insurer in advance will ensure that the entire process happens quite smoothly and everything is in place. For emergency cases where the customer will not know when to go, there are two options. One is cashless, one is reimbursement. Cashless typically happens smoothly because the hospital is coordinating with us. And everything happens while the person is in the hospital. In case of reimbursement, asking the insurer, because to get a checklist, a simple checklist in terms of when I have to claim, what all things will be covered, which all documents I had to submit is something which is very important. And asking them upfront and getting that data from the insurer ensures that there are no surprises and things also go smoothly. And finally, which is the most important thing, is while you are buying your insurance, be honest, because most of the cases where this issue happens when the discharge summary or the hospital letter highlights that something which was told to the insurer was wrong. However, somebody had a pre-existing illness, somebody has something else. So being brutally honest while opting for the policy or buying the policy is the most important thing to ensure that the claim happens smoothly.
All right. I'm going to move away from health insurance and talk about the other general insurance categories that we do tend to ignore. However, in the monsoons, we've unfortunately seen instances where the torrential downpour and rains have caused significant damage to property and assets of a lot of individuals. So let's talk about that. Property insurance, mainly being a motor vehicle, a two-wheeler, and your home or your office. What's the best way, what's the best product out there that will help an individual ensure that his properties and his premises and assets are adequately covered?
Sure. So good thing that has happened. There are standard policies which are introduced by the regulator for property insurance. And now every insurer is selling the same policy. So if somebody has a home, then opting for a Grah Rakshak makes a lot of sense. It can cover only structure. It can cover structure, which is the building, and the content also. And it basically covers not only what we are seeing, like we had 2 cyclones, there is a prediction that the third one will come. So it covers all natural disasters, including terrorism, So that is something where investing makes sense. A lot of people, and actually awareness-wise also, people don't know about it, but the policies are quite cheap. If somebody is going for a policy for a house, which is like a 50 lakh rupees house, the yearly premium will seem like ordering a pizza. So one needs to basically think about this property insurance, specifically what is happening currently. The policy will cover everything. Now, if somebody has a factory or a business, or somebody deals with raw material, then there are two more standard policies which were introduced by the regulator. One is Sukshma, which is for micro enterprises, which covers a sum insured till 5 crores. And there is Raghu Rakshak, which covers a sum insured starting from 5 crore till 50 crores. So these are the three standard policies. All insurers have the same coverages. Everything is same. One can see what is the pricing and choose the insurer that they find it comfortable. And the other thing that becomes important while somebody is choosing one of these policies is to just see how the claim process works. Because what happens is at the time of a property damage, how fast the money is paid becomes far more critical. So an insurer which probably has more online processes so that somebody can take like a photographs, somebody can just upload a video of the damage and settlement can happen, become far more intuitive for the user versus having a very physical process where somebody will go visit the site, do his manual inspection, and then the payment will happen. So that is also one needs to be careful about in terms of the processes. But the good part is that the policies are same for across the place, across the insurers. The coverages are same across the insurers.
Well, I think with that, I think we've covered a wide spectrum of insurance on the general side. Thank you so much, Vivek, for joining us today on The Money Show, giving your time to our viewers as well on explaining everything to do with general insurance. And I think it's time for yet another very short break, but we'll be back with a discussion on gold with the recent run-up that we have seen in gold prices. What should your strategy be? So don't go anywhere.